Here we have three different cruisers from three different manufacturers: the Harley-Davidson Breakout 117, the Triumph Speedmaster and the BMW R18. So in this video I'm going to go over which one of these cruisers might be for you, what the similarities and differences are between them. Starting with the Triumph Speedmaster. Look back at my review of this. It's a wonderful motorcycle. I love it to bits. The Speedmaster is a 1200cc, which is a big bike by most standards, unless you're used to having a Harley-Davidson or an R18. And they're much bigger. We'll come on to the figures in a minute. Anyone who's ridden one of these Triumphs will say how torquey the engine is, and it is really torquey until you've ridden the Harley-Davidson or the R18, and the torque from those engines is in another league. It's a bit like the Speedmaster is the guy who goes to the sports centre gym, the local authority gym, and you're pumping iron, you're flipping, looking at yourself in the mirror and think, do you know what, looking around, I'm one of the big guys in the gym, and you feel really cool. Then you decide to join a bodybuilding gym, and you go to the gym first day, you pick your weights up, you're looking up, oh, look at me, I'm looking good here. And you look around and you think, hang on a minute, look at that guy. Oh my God, look at that guy. They're massive. And that's a bit what it's like when you go from the Speedmaster to the Harley-Davidson Breakout or the BMW R18. These guys are the big guys of the gym. Not saying this isn't a big guy, you're still pretty cool, but you're not in the league of these two. I've just got back from test riding the Harley-Davidson Breakout 117, and we're doing a full review on this bike coming after this video. You need to watch that. But I can tell you now, this bike is absolutely tremendous. The torque that this produces is off the scale, and it produces it so low down, below 2000 RPM. If you open up the throttle, it'll pull like a freight train, and most bikes won't even get going till well over 3,500. This is incredible. If you open the throttle up and let the revs build, it's a very fast motorcycle, and it's more of a performance engine than the 114 Harley-Davidson V-twin. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And the stability that these forks with the rake of 34 degrees gives you is very reassuring. Now, I was giving it a bit of throttle to test how fast the bike would go in acceleration, and while I was doing that, I hit a bump. Most bikes, I probably would have crashed. It would have unsettled it so much. Because of the long wheelbase and the rake, it didn't unsettle the bike, even though it did a bit of a shake. And that's a good thing. This is the purpose of these sort of dimensions. They're very stable and very reassuring, and they're just wonderful to ride. The BMW R18 is actually quite similar to the Harley-Davidson Breakout. You've got that long wheelbase, and you've got a raked out front, and you've got a massive, torquey, twin-cylinder engine. So again, this will give you huge amounts of torque at very, very low RPM, just like the Harley will. If anything more so, once the revs build, the Harley will pip it. We're not sort of crunching figures and comparing top speeds or anything like that. But this does give you that massive grunt at low RPMs. And that's the beauty of these cruisers. They're all torquey bikes. Even the Triumph is torquey, but like I said, not in the league of the R18 or the Harley-Davidson. Now, of course, Triumph do the Rocket 3, which is a torque monster, which has more torque and more power than both of the Harley and the R18, but it's a different kind of feel to it. Of course, we've got these three bikes here at the moment, so that's why I'm comparing them. But the Rocket 3, I don't think it's in the same class of retro, modern classic, nostalgic kind of bike. It's a bit modern looking. It doesn't have that same appeal. So the sort of person perhaps that would buy one of these might not want to go for the Rocket 3 because of those reasons. It's a different sort of appeal, I think. I like the classic looking bikes, and if the Rocket 3 looked like that but bigger and had the bigger engine, we might be comparing the 3 in a different way. Now let's quickly compare a few figures. The R18 produces 158 newton meters of torque at 3,000 RPM, that's 116 foot-pounds. The Breakout produces a peak of 168 newton meters or 123 foot-pounds at 3,500 RPM. And the Speedmaster produces 106 newton meters of torque or 78 foot-pounds, and that peaks at 4,000 RPM. So the R18 produces most of its torque lower down, followed by the Breakout and then the Speedmaster. But as you can see by the figures, the Speedmaster isn't in the same league as these two in terms of torque. The BMW R18 produces a peak of 91 horsepower at 4,750 RPM. The Breakout has a bit more, 102 horsepower at 5,020 RPM. And the Speedmaster produces 76.9 horsepower at 6,100 RPM. Now the R18 will give you 50.4 miles per gallon, that's 42 miles per gallon USA. The Breakout will give you 50.4 miles per gallon, the same exactly as the R18. And the Speedmaster will give you 60.9 miles per gallon or 50.7 USA gallons. So the Speedmaster is the more economical of the three, as you would expect. Now we've got a lot of followers in the USA, so I'm trying to sort of do the figures for USA and Europe. Now the Breakout is 117 cubic inches, which is 1,917 cc. The BMW R18 is 110 cubic inches or thereabouts, or 1,800 cc, and the Speedmaster is 73 cubic inches or 1,200 cc. Of course, there's a big price difference between the three bikes. The Speedmaster is the cheapest of the three at £12,995. UK prices, of course, go to your websites in your country to find the different prices. The Harley-Davidson Breakout 117 is £24,195 in basic spec, and you can spec them up. And the BMW R18 starts at £17,256, but mine would be £21,471 or thereabouts, spec'd up in the same way as mine with the reverse and various other things. So in my opinion, on that bike you need the reverse. It's a wonderful thing to have. So what's the essence of each bike and what do they all give you? The Triumph is smaller, it's more manageable size-wise, it's compact, it has steeper raked forks, and the handling is sharper, it'll turn easier, and it feels quite peppy. The Harley-Davidson is super stable, it's much longer, it's much bigger, it's harder to handle. You've got a massive fat rear tyre. You do have to sort of wrestle it a little bit, but people say they're rubbish in the corners. It's actually really good fun in the corners. It's not a sports bike, you don't ride these like sports bikes. Once you know where the pegs are going to scrape, you know how fast to take the corners. That's not a bad thing. They're all good fun to ride in straight lines or on bends. The R18 again is very torquey, it's very long, it's the biggest, longest of the three bikes. You've got the Boxer engine which sticks out. None of these bikes are shy and retiring. They're all out there giving you a massive statement, and all of their statements are a little bit different. Not one of these bikes is going to sort of blend away into the background. If you turn up on any one of these bikes, people are going to stop and stare. The riding positions, the Harley has feet and fists forward and it's very comfortable. The Speedmaster, your feet are forward again. The handlebars aren't quite as wide and they're sort of swept back. They're beach bars, I think they call them. Slightly different riding position and of course a smaller bike. And the R18, your fists are forward but your legs are mid-control, so your knees are a little bit more bent. Some people think the cylinders are in the way. They're not, of course, but they are if you want to straighten your legs. With the Harley-Davidson, you don't have that problem, and neither do you with the Triumph. Now, on the subject of handling, the Breakout's got a 21-inch tall but narrow front wheel and a massive rear tyre. The narrowness of the front compensates for the thickness of the back. So the handling is actually surprisingly good. Handling is a subjective term. I think the handling on this and that are brilliant. That's my kind of handling. So I would say they're very good handling bikes. This is a sharper handling bike, which is not my preference in terms of feel. And when you come further down the line with some sort of more sporty bikes where the forks are almost vertical, that is awful in my mind, but people would say they're the best handling bikes. So it's a subjective term, isn't it? But if handling is going round corners as fast as possible, none of these bikes handle. But if handling is how well they ride and how they do everything, then they all handle brilliantly. If you want to make friends, then the Triumph Speedmaster is the bike for you. Wherever you go and whoever you speak to, everyone seems to like it. With the Harley-Davidsons, no matter which Harley you get your haters. But conversely, if you've got a Harley, then anyone else has got a Harley. They're going to talk to you and you're part of the club, if you like. So there's two sides to the Harley. And the same with the R18. It does have its haters, but it's also got its lovers. And no matter which bike you choose, you're certainly going to have conversations wherever you stop. So there we have it, 3 very different cruisers. Which one would you go for and why? Say in the comments below. I'd be very interested to hear your opinions. Let's not have any of the hate on the Harleys or the BMW. Let's see if you can resist that. If we do get hateful comments, we'll know that you haven't watched the video to the end, won't we? So we'll see you on the next one. Some amazing videos to come.